Hi class, in this video we're going to be looking at creating a basic ASP.NET application using Visual Studio. It's chapter 15 in your textbook. We want to look at some of the differences from ASP.NET applications or web-based applications as compared to our Windows Form applications. Use ASP.NET to create these applications. We're going to create some dynamic web form pages using ASP.NET and look at the controls that we can use. We're going to try to add some validation and different things and very quickly talk about how mobile apps can be developed. In Microsoft Word, we use the product ASP.NET to create web-based applications. .NET Core is a new facility that's available to make these application backends be cross-platform compatible. What does that mean? Well, right now in the current setup, if you have an ASP.NET application, you have to have a Microsoft IIS or Internet Information Server in your back end being your web server. So it is not open platform. With .NET Core, when you create these applications, the server that is hosting your website can now be a Linux or a Mac platform also running .NET Core. So it just expands our capability for our back end. Now, in a lot of website development, we don't care about the back end. We're all worried about the client side, right? Giving the client the ultimate experience. And we can do that with ASP.NET because the client side is still all HTML and JavaScript and those client-side languages that we're used to. So this gives us just a great architecture, a great platform, great framework, right? So let's create a little project here. I'm going to say that I want to create a new project, and I've got Visual C# chosen, and if I click on Web, I have two choices. My .NET Core application, which could run on multiple platforms, or my .NET Framework application, which can run on Windows. Let's try a .NET Core one first. And I'm just going to name this Sample 1 and put it in my correct folder. And I want this to be, I think that I'm going to say I want it to be a web application. This is going to create some example content for us. Now, we're not going to look through all of this content, but I want you to see what this sample application will do for you. Now, first of all, when we create a web application, we're going to see some different items in Solution Explorer because we have some different components. Notice the www root folder, which keys to us right away that this is a website project. I'd like to run this so we can see what the executing site looks like. Just like a Visual Studio Forms application, I can click the green arrow to start. Notice it says IIS Express. That's the web browser that it's going to use to display my test project. I could use that drop-down arrow and choose a different web browser. I'm going to choose it. It seems to, on mine, use Google Chrome anyways. Oh, look, it took it a second, but that's because it was creating a lot of content. So this is the default website. We already have all this stuff built in. Nice. So this is the default. If you wanted to take it and change it, you could. Notice that it has our project name, 3 links. We can click the home site, which is this one, about, which would give us our about page, and our contact information. So the home page is most fully developed. If you click on things, they'll take you to help topics. So just a great sample app for us to look at to see how things work. Now I'm going to close this tab. I'll go ahead and close out of Chrome. Notice that my project is still running. So I'll click stop. So it kind of kicks off your project, but then it doesn't really watch to see that you've finished it. Now, a couple of things that we could look at over here in our Solution Explorer. Let's take a look at our startup.cs file. This file contains C# code, and it is going to configure how our startup happens. It has a lot of settings and options for us. But how does it run? Well, let's look at our program.cs. In our program.cs, we say that our main executes this method, build web host. Our main passes any arguments that it received onto the web host, and it says that it wants to execute the run method of the web host. Here's our build web host method, and it says part of its code says that the startup to use is this program named startup. So there's where our main is tied to our startup.cs. Now our startup CS has all sorts of great things going on here, system things that we can look at, but the bottom line is that it is going to go to our www root folder to serve up our web content. If you look in that folder, you'll see that it has things split into logical folders. See if you have any content, which you should, because we had a lot of information on our website. And you can kind of see how things are set up under our pages link. We should be able to see all of our different pages. Here's our index page that was basically our startup page. So all of these things are linked together for us. When we create our own, it makes a little bit more sense. So we just want to see that all these things are possible looking at this default application. Let's change our view to folder view. And again, you'll be able to see all of the different folders and files that are contained in this project so that you can investigate them and see what's going on with them. Now this CS_proj file is XML based format, begin tag and end tag, and it just has a few different parameters for our project to use, what version of our tools we're using. So you can see that a lot of these different files are things that you might have to consider in your early development, but your focus will be mostly in your www root folders. Okay, so that was a default application. Looks great. Let's close that. And I want to create a new project.